Hello, and welcome to our audience to another episode of Age Differently. We're excited today to have as our first female guest, um, Lana Nelson. And so we're excited to have her as a participant, a guest to discuss her exciting book, The Food Code, and the information that she provides within, again, all of it applicable topics on things that men, as well as the women in their lives, should perhaps give import to. And so it's another conversation, another meaningful conversation between my co-host, Darius. Hi, Darius.
Peter, hello.
And our guest, Lana Nelson. And
Happy
welcome
to
the
be
audience.
here.
Thank you,
so
Lana. Thanks
much.
for being here for us. Darius, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, be happy to. Lana, how are you today?
Fabulosity, okay? That's all I can say. It's just fabulosity.
Isn't that just manifesting the positive energy we've had for our audience? We had a few technical challenges getting this podcast up and going, but here we are today. And Lana is just remarkably insightful. And I'm delighted to talk with her about her book. And for those watching on YouTube, here it is, The Food Codes. It's a wonderful read all about diet. But get into that, Lana. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Myself, wow, I have lived many lifetimes in this life, okay? Let's just say that. You know, people will say I've lived many lives. Well, I have done all sorts. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, but in my whole life, I've also been interested in nutrition and food and living my healthiest life. I have worked in the healing and energy field for well over 30 years. And my former husband, who's passed, was a wonderful chiropractor who used energy, basically, who, wasn't just a snap, crackle, pop sort of a guy, but he used energy medicine and energy techniques for healing, as well as nutrition and nutritional supplements. So, with that being said, how I came to being at this spot right now is I met him many years ago after I had been in a serious car accident, which um, has kind of stopped my head, my neck, and my shoulders were fixed. I had some serious head injuries and so on. I tried for 10 years to find ways to get out of the pain and discomfort and get back to being a normal person. So I used to turn my head this way and had headache for 10 years, pain all over my body. Then with his techniques, energy wise, as well as nutritional supplements and nutritional food, I actually just have become pain free, lived that way for almost 30 years now. Okay. It was about 10 years before that I had so much suffering and dang nabbit pain. And now, so in our practice, we used a lot of, as I say, techniques, but the chiropractic, I was a biofeedback. I ran biofeedback with the clients. And we also had some testing machines. That we would put the clients on and test what nutrients or food, what's your best food, and so on. And then muscle testing was a big part of the practice. And we will talk. I know you're both interested in that. We'll talk about that in this. And in the book, The Food Codes, Intuitive Eating for Everyone, I have a wonderful course in there to teach you how. But with the energy techniques and working on people's bodies to get them healthier, and we had people that came with every disease and sickness that you can imagine, and they came from around the globe to be healed at our little place in Montana. But what I thought eventually was we needed to have a program of food. Here we had lots of different techniques. And out there right now, you can see this technique, that machine, all of these kind of things. But hey, how about good old food? We eat food every day. We can't subsist without food and water, which is food. And so I used muscle testing to test a perfect food program, a food plan for each one of our patients. And with that, it sifted down to this book, teaching you how to determine yourself what are your best foods. And in that, when I was doing it and figuring out the testing, what I really realized was this book is really not so much about food, but about our first relationship. Our first relationship on this planet is with food. And we have a lot of um, in our relationships, we can have a little strength, a little troubles, I guess with a marital or a partner or with our family and so forth. But this, our food is our first relationship. How we act, how we interact, how we treat food in our life, it is our first relationship. As we are born, we are put to suckle on our mother's breast. And before that, as we are developing inside the womb, if we are not given the nutrients if our mother's not eating the nutrients, then we take those nutrients from her body. But we are born, this relationship with food comes before we're born, and then it morphs as we grow older. And so basically, it is about relationships. We can develop a fabulous relationship with food. And I know a lot of your listeners out there are going, I eat this too much, or I don't eat that enough, or I'm told this and that. Well, this is exactly how you can know exactly what to do for yourself, for any situation.
Yeah, because there's so much clutter right now. When you talk about diet, you have a segment of the market that is vegan, then you have the vegetarians, then you have pescatarians, then you have low fat, then you have ketogenic. And one of the things that I've come to learn is that because no two individuals are unique, no two diets should be the same. And what may work incredibly well for Peter is not going to work at all for me.
Yes. That being said, and you can use a certain diet in the springtime. Oh, and think about the different
Mhm.
seasons that we have. In the springtime, we crave more fresh fruits and so forth. And I live in a place that has climate changes. However, depending on the stressors of your body, depending on if you want to run a marathon, depending if you are you're going to university, and oh, my brain, I just need this brain food. The foods you eat that you really need are going to be different, ever changing, as is your beautiful body and your needs. So you can
Absolutely.
figure that out with the methods I show you and teach you.
Yeah. Lana, you said something just absolutely fascinating, and you explored in your book as well. This relationship to relationships, uh, it filters into eating and food. Could you elaborate more on that and what you've discovered and what our audience should know more about
Yes,
relationships in general?
very much. Let's look at this Let's look at this. You've had some upsets in your life. Maybe you didn't have the best childhood on the planet. Maybe you have something going on right now. And here you are. You've had breakfast, you've eaten, you've nibbled here and there, and you go to the fridge and you open the door. And same stuff as before. You're going to the fridge 2 or 3, 4 times and you're opening it up. Are you hungry? You can ask yourself, am I really hungry? 99% of the time, no. What am I looking in here for? Wow. And you can do a little muscle testing. Your boss might have just said something that ticked you off royally. Or you just might have seen something, even on a radio or TV or whatever, that's like, that was my dad when I was a kid. And all these things going on in your subconscious affecting your eating.
Hmm.
Okay, affecting you eating when you're not hungry. And then sometimes with the muscle testing I show you in the book, to have a better relationship with not abusing food. Okay, because we'll eat when we're not hungry, we'll eat the wrong kinds of foods. And you know have you ever gone to a grocery store in your pajamas at night for something that you have an addiction to that you just can? Like, what is it that you'll drive to the grocery store at 12 o'clock just to get? Okay, some people have food addictions and so forth. Those addictions are all associated with relationships, relationship with us, and we can abuse food that way, or we can use food as our best friend. Get that back, um, to be our best friend. And I basically show you and teach you how to do that. You can learn how to know when you're full. You can learn how to, and this is with muscle testing. And then eat when you're hungry and not. Does that kind of answer your question a little bit?
It does, but let me explore it a little differently. You said our
Yes.
first relationship is one of our first relationships is with food when we're in the womb.
Yes.
So with, let's say, your mother's experience and that relationship, how does that all factor into your relationship to food?
That's a very good question. Many mothers are very conscious about their children, about being pregnant, and they don't eat things that that like alcohol or smoking. They don't use those things that might harm the child. They don't use drugs. Other mothers are not as conscious and they do use those kind of things. A lot of mothers will take nutrition to have a healthy baby. So, right from the very beginning, your mother's relationship with food is going to affect you, whether she's eating the correct foods, whether she's taking care of her body, because we do have children that are born with addictions. So that can affect our relationship with interacting with food and everything else. Also, in the womb, if a mother is having a lot of stress, that stress can be felt with the baby. And so those things can vary. And even as a baby in a womb, probably in about the third trimester, if the mom is having a lot of struggles, um, trauma in her life, a baby can even internalize the mother's feelings, the mother's emotions. Does that make some sense?
Yes, it does. It
So
does.
that baby with food, with nutrition, and with how the mother is interacting, her relationship with her environment can affect the relationship with that child when it's born.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for explaining that.
Okay. And then when a baby is born, we like sweet food. The mother's milk is sweet. Okay. So we're born kind of naturally wanting a little sweetness in our life, if you will. And
Mm,
so, and if you think about a child, a little baby knows when it's full, it knows when it's hungry. You try stuffing a bottle in that baby's mouth and say, no, there's just a little bit left. Come on, eat, honey. Drink that right now. And they're going, no, they won't. Or you force them and their tummy will spit it right up. Or if you've ever seen a child in a high chair and you put some food in front of them, they'll taste it and like, me, I don't like that. Phew, off the high chair it goes. Or if they like it, they will eat a little bit and then they're done. Mom or dad tries to, or brother or sister, whomever tries to feed them, just eat this up. And they're going, spit it out. I'm done. I'm full.
mm,
So we have a lot of knowledge when we are babies, and we don't really realize that with them.
yeah. And your book does a wonderful job of helping individuals uncover that information that is sitting in the subconscious. You want to explain a little bit about what your book explores with that?
Yeah, speaking of our subconscious, we each have what I call an inner knower. As you are going about your everyday, we have our planners, we have our different kinds of planners now. Oh, I like this kind, that kind, the other kind. I don't use one at all. Those people like that. And so we have a planner going on inside of our head constantly. From the second and even before you were born, that subconscious, and even before in our pre-existence, if you will, there's a lot of beliefs out there. We have that inner knower with us that knows everything. Constant record on. As we're walking down the street during the day, it's recording our footsteps. It's recording every face, every sound, sight, smell that is going on around us. So that subconscious is with us. And our conscious mind is about, it's very, very little. If you picture an iceberg, and here you have the water, and just a little tip of that iceberg is up, but this whole underneath of the iceberg, that is the subconscious that is there. So we can actually very intuitively tune in with the subconscious mind via a process of what I call muscle testing. Doctors use this, physical therapists use this. If you've ever been to physical therapy or neurologist and have let's sit up here and let's give a little tap on your knee. Boom, your leg will, push out. A neurologist, a physical therapist will have you lie on a table and say, lift your leg up ever so slightly, and then ask a question of your body. How is this muscle working well? And then they will push down, and they are asking different questions of your subconscious. And we've learned that using a strong muscle to, let's say, get a yes answer, your brain is like a binary computer, very much like a truth detector.
Mm.
Your brain will, if you've ever seen, someone hooked up to they call them lie detectors, but I like
Polygraph.
truth better. Yeah, polygraph. Thank you very much. Okay. The polygraph, it will give you a congruent or incongruent answer. Okay, so let's say a yes or a no answer. Your subconscious will not allow you to tell a lie. You'll have a tell in some way. And so, but that inner knower, that you can ask questions of it. For instance, let's talk about food. Let's go back to how you can tap into this inner knower. You can use a weak muscle or a strong muscle. You can actually stand, and your listeners could do this. It's a really cool method of not having to use a muscle, but using your own body. I'm just going to move back here a little bit. And you can think of, if you want to try this, would you like to try this for just a minute?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can leave your eyes open or closed. You can sit, or with anyone listening, you can sit or stand, and you can just start thinking of something really negative. Negative, negative, negative. Whoa, someone just cut you off in the road. You could actually imagine going to your refrigerator, opening the door, and just pulling a jar off. I wonder if this is still good, taking a whiff of it, and whew, you just move backwards away from. And so imagine that your little negativity here, and just feel as your body sways backward, just away from. Okay.
Mm.
Take a nice breath. Did you feel that at all? A little repulsion. Your inner knower. Yes, go ahead.
I felt a heaviness.
All
Yeah.
right. You felt something. That's the key. So we will move away from a weak, and I'm just calling that a weak muscle or a no, okay? Away from something that is incongruent or not good. So that is a no. Now, think about this. Something really joyful. The sunshine on your face, out surfing, okay? Woo, joyful thing, what you love to do. A sweet, tender kiss, something really delightful, really, really, a little puppy, a little cuddle up, and just feel as you move forward, your body moves toward that. Yes, thank you. I like
Yeah.
that. Love, love, love. Simply the word love and the energy of love. And how was that for you? How did that feel?
That felt good for me.
Felt
Darius?
light.
Yeah, definitely can feel a difference.
Okay. That is, let's say, a yes and a no. And so you can learn to just basically stand or sit. And you could use this with food. Let's say apple. Apple, apple, apple. I'm wondering if an apple is a really good food for me. I'm wondering if an apple is a really good food for me. And I'm kind of swaying away from it right now. And I know that right now at this point, I love apples, but it's not one of my better foods. And so, apple, if it's a really good food for me right now, someone else might go, "Oh yeah, yeah, that feels really good," and it feels good. You can sway forward. There are also, and I mention these in my book, many other ways. Now, that is one of the easiest ways that I think, but also there are other ways. Let's say with your arm. I'm just going to kind of stand up here and move my arm to the side. You can actually put your arm like at a level and press down on your arm and say, show me. Intention is everything. You can say, I want my arm to be strong for a yes. I want it to go weak for a no. And so pressing down, say, show me a yes. And right above the wrist bump here, press down, show me a yes, and lightly press down. It will stop. You'll feel a stop. Just a stop. It will, and don't push, it won't go any further. Then you can say, show me a no, and that will, and be weak. No resistance. Show me a no. And lightly pressing down, you will get no resistance. You can also use, you can use your fingers. I often will use, let's say, my finger for show me a yes. Bring in a middle finger over top of that and show me a yes. And it almost pops up a little bit. Show me a no, boom, and it just goes down. So many different methods, let's say, of muscle testing. Some people will use what's called a ring and ring, and this is a very easy one to use. Just make rings like an okay, and then put them together, intending that when you pull apart, a yes is a strong answer. So just very lightly touching your pads together, show me a yes. And when you lightly pull, you'll feel a stop. Just, and don't continue on. You'll feel that stop, like sticking. Okay, move your hands apart and then say, show me a no. Gently push, pull. One of your fingers, see how easy that was, Peter? You just said, show me a no, boom. Okay, that's another way, but there are many ways to use muscle testing.
So, Lana, how does our audience, men 50 to 70, how do they incorporate this into their life on a day-to-day basis to see some of the benefits that we've been talking about? What's the recommendation that you have to make this more practical for everybody?
Okay, 50 to 70. How many of you men want to know what is my best exercise? Okay. Have you just joined a gym and you have a trainer and they're going slam, bam, let's get in, let's get that. Okay. And you need to be doing these steps. You need to be doing this exercise. You need to be out there running and blah, blah, blah. And maybe yes, maybe no. What is your best exercise? Is there something that's going to lead you into it? And you can ask those questions. What is are we all eaters? Yes, yes, yes. Okay. All right. There's these protein drinks. There's these nutrition. This nutrition is especially for you, Mr. 55 to 65 to 70. Oh, man, this one is especially good for you. It's going to take you back to age 20, and you can test. Is that best for me right now? Do I need to be on protein powders? Do I need to do this supplement, that supplement, etc.? So, and you can test any type of food activity. Do I simply need to go on a vacation? What muscle testing is not for is playing the lottery, is making big life decisions. Those need to be put to your really inner knower, your prayer bones, your intuition, etc., and maybe getting answers from experts and so forth. So it's not for making humongous decisions that you need extra help for. Okay, does that make some sense? But this is ideal for every age. And you have you know, men are looking for more virility. Okay. what nutrients, what foods are going to enhance my virility in any way. Pretty serious with that. Does that make sense?
It does. And what I tend to do is one of the things I've incorporated is when I go out to a restaurant, I do muscle
Yes,
testing, going through the menu of options because I don't know how it's being prepared. I don't know exactly what ingredients are going in. I don't know how long some of the dishes have been sitting in the kitchen for. So I do muscle
perfect.
testing and scroll down and say, okay, these are of these four things that tested well. This is what I will have this evening.
Yes, I'll show you how I go through a. Um, I use my finger a lot as a tester, and I'll open up and I'll say, okay, so I have the menu. It might be two or three
Yeah.
pages. Is something on this page best for me today? No. Something on this page? Yes. Is it on the top? No. Is it on the bottom? Also, something that's best for me, but what will be my best?
So I have one for you, Lana.
Okay.
What do you say to somebody like me who's new to muscle testing and considers it kind of radical and has spent most of his life, kind of testing and noticing cause and effect? What do you say to them about introducing this new approach? What would you say to me to get me to try to be more aware of how it could benefit?
I say, good for you. I love your style. I love that you have that thinker and you don't just radically accept things. That's what I would say, first of all. I love that in a person. And I would say, just be a little open and try baby steps. Okay.
Mhm.
Just try baby steps a little at a time. I have a very good friend who's like that and was totally new to any type of energy. And it's like, nah, I don't know about that stuff. Little by little, a bit of testing, and you'll find that, how did that happen? And then you test again, and it's like, okay, that feels good. That feels right. So yeah, you always use your inner knower, and you not to overthink things sometimes, you know, overanalyze, go with
Mm.
it sometimes, but I love thinkers. You're the thinker, you're the one who wants to know more about it. So you test that this certain food is good for you. Go and find out the nutrients in it. Find out why and those kind of things. You can get more information. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So along the same lines, how do I distinguish between my memory? Use the apple. The apple was like my memory of a sweet apple, just I could taste it. And how
Yes.
do we distinguish between that memory and muscle testing in the present moment? How do we figure out that kind of, for me, it's all about awareness and being
Mhm.
sensitive. So does that again come back, relegate back to practice? Is that how it happens?
It does, but also you have that inner knower there. And uh, people who don't have the strong intuition like you do, you both have very, very strong intuition and knowing. Some people will go, I don't know how I know anything, you know? Um, and I don't have any intuition. I'm going to give this tip. Some people say, no, I don't have any intuition. Intuitions are the knowing. I just knew that. Or oh, I could hear that. You have intuitions of knowing, hearing, taste, smell, sight. Some people see things in their mind's eye. So there are a lot of forms of intuition as you learn muscle testing. Now, you both have very good intuition and know that and have brought it forward in your lives and enhance that. Muscle testing will enhance your intuition because you'll pick up an apple and you just know that's good for you. Oh, yeah, that is. That's your inner knower. You don't even have to test that. Okay. You just know that. So your inner knower is interfacing better. So muscle testing will help you interface and be more intuitive in many ways for those that aren't. You already are. So you think of an apple and you go, I know that's good for me. The flavor, the taste, how my body. So, yeah, does that answer your question?
It does. It's wonderful that I feel it's wonderful we're exploring this because I don't think this is a topic that gets a lot of discussion in general. Um,
Yes. And with men, it's like, oh, women, you're this or you're that. And no, I love that many men have gone forward to what is best for me. I want to be healthy. I want to be strong. I want to be attractive. And I'm not talking about just, looks. Attractive, attracting energy, attracting business, etc. And you using these methods and food and the other ways you can use muscle testing, you will become more attractive. Your inner knower and your types of intuition will wonderfully increase.
Completely get it. Completely agree. Building on intuition can only benefit us, and only
Yes,
benefit.
and that's what this does. That's exactly what it does. You become more sharp.
Yeah.
So, Lana, what would our call to action for our listeners be coming out of this podcast? What would be one thing we would ask them to do? One of our listeners called it homework, and he loves the homework. What would our
Okay,
call to action be?
the homework is, throughout our history, um, positive thoughts, positive attitude. People have prayed, people have chanted, people have done different forms of action to enhance energy. And one of the being positive brings a lot of good energy around you. And one thing I talk about with food throughout history, as I was researching, historically, every single culture has and I want to call it a blessing, has a practice that they use to give thanks. Give thanks.
Mhm.
Every single culture is very fascinating. If you find a book on that, you're going to love it. But my mantra, if you will, is do your best. Do your best with whatever it is. And when it comes to food, when it comes to any part of your life, do your best and bless the rest.
Hmm.
Very simple. Do your best and bless the rest. And that can be, you can think about that one and how that applies to every part of your life.
So, Lana, we like to close every podcast off with a poem or a quote, something that's relevant and meaningful. And I'm wondering what you'd like to share with our listener base.
And that is the simplest thing I just said. Do your best and bless the rest. You can, yeah, I teach my, I need to have a little poster that, so I'll sing it to you. Do your best and bless the rest. Do your best and bless the rest. Do your best and bless the rest. Do your best, 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 and bless the rest.
There
How
we
about
go.
that?
That's going to be my new ringtone.
All right. Thank you
So
so much. I've enjoyed this.
we haven't had it like that. Thank you, Lana.
Thank you so much for joining us. And again, for people listening, her book is The Food Codes. Please go out, read it. And she's talked about the different ways that we can incorporate it into our lives, from diet to exercise to dressing. Really interesting read. Thank you for joining us, Lana.
Thank you, Lana.
Thank
Thanks.
you.